Hello, everyone, and welcome to my spring tarot reading party. I am so happy to have you here joining me live today. And I'm really excited to do some one card readings for you guys. So, thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for being here. And I just want to give everyone a moment to settle in, get comfortable, introduce yourself in the chat section. Tell me where you're from. And most importantly, let me know how you're doing. Good. I see there's lots of people here already. Nice. Good. I recognize some names from my last live cast. I actually haven't done an actual tarot reading party in a really long time. I think it's been a few months, so I'm excited to get back in the saddle. I've got my Everyday Witch Tarot with me here. I thought of doing a different deck because I've used this deck for the last several live streams that I've done, but this is just the deck that I love to work with, that I'm so comfortable with. So I've got my Everyday Witch Tarot. Hello, Martina from Brazil. Hello, Katya from Sweden. Nice. Okay. All right. So welcome, everyone. So I guess I'm just going to get right into doing the readings. I'm going to shuffle my cards here. And if you would like me to draw a card for you, let me know. And if you have a specific question, something you'd want a little bit of information on, you can let me know that as well. The interesting thing about tarot is that tarot doesn't always give us the answers that we're looking for, but it will always give you some advice that hopefully will be helpful. So it's funny because it's such a gloomy day today. It's been really sunny the last 2 weeks, but today it's like so rainy and cloudy. And I'm sitting in my foster room and it's so dark in here. But when I turn the lights on, my camera reacts to it and it makes my skin look a bluishy green. So I have all the lights off. So it's like really, really dark and cold. And I'm here with my foster cat. I'll show you Dahlia. Dahlia is my current foster girl. Say hi, Dahlia. Hey, girl. Hey. She's actually turned into a total lap cat, which I'm really happy about. She's the first foster I've had that's become an instant lap cat. All right. Okay, so before I dive into the readings, I'm just going to shuffle my cards and I'm going to let you know about my upcoming tarot course. So I've got a 4-week tarot course coming up. It's called the Daily Tarot Girl's Guide to Reading Tarot for Others. And it's a course that focuses on basically reading tarot for other people, because there's such a different skill set when it comes to like reading for yourself versus reading for another person. So this course focuses on everything you need to know about reading for someone else. And classes start May 6th and they run for 4 weeks. And if you're interested in signing up, or if you're just interested in checking it out, I'm going to put the link in the chat room here. All right. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to start by doing a reading for Yvette, Elle, and you say, hello, I would love a tarot reading, please. Okay, Yvette, I'm going to draw a card for you. All right, so you got the Emperor. And again, I'm using the Everyday Witch tarot deck for these readings. All right, so hopefully you can see that. There's a little bit of glare. All right, so the Emperor. The Emperor is all about making your own rules and kind of like being a maverick, like really stepping into your independence and I'll tell you what the opposite of the Emperor is about, because sometimes that helps us understand. So the opposite of the Emperor would be to look up to someone else for guidance and to follow someone else's rule and follow someone else's life plan and someone else's process. The Emperor is about finding your own process. It's about finding your own unique way of doing things and figuring things out. I often associate this card with like being in business for yourself, being your own boss, going on your own kind of personal journey and really living according to your own true, values and things that are really important to you. So I feel like, Yvette, the Emperor is really encouraging you to be more fiercely independent and to look inside yourself for answers and for guidance, as opposed to looking at someone else and thinking, well, how did they do that? Or what does this person think I should do? It's about kind of being your own authority. Okay, so Jennifer, you say, hi, Kate, I've signed up for your new course. I'm thinking about starting to do readings for people. Please pull a card for me on, is this the right move for me? Okay, I like it. And thanks for signing up for my course, Jennifer. I saw you'd signed up the other day, actually. I was excited. I was like, oh, I know Jennifer from YouTube. All right. So you're thinking about reading for people. You want to see if this is the right move. Okay. All right, so you got the Lovers. So yeah, I would say yes, this is the right move for you. The Lovers is, I think of this as a passionate card, actually. And I see this whole journey, this step of moving forward in your tarot studies and starting to read for other people. It's something that has the potential to be something that's very, something that you're very passionate about and something that really lights you up. But I also see this as about, there's an intimacy with this card. And I get this real sense of partnership and joining. And I see this as representing you partnering with, or you joining forces with a part of yourself that up until this point you haven't fully merged with. So it may be like your inner, I think of it as like your inner tarot reader, like your inner, there's many other ways of thinking of it, like your inner being, your higher self, your intuitive self, your inner goddess, but there's some sort of aspect to who you are that you're going to be merging with more deeply as you embark on this journey of reading for other people. It's like there's a part of you that you reignite and you get to know better. So yes, this is the right step for you. And of course, you've just signed up for my course, so I'm not going to tell you no, it's not not the right step. All right. Ooh, the chat's going so fast. There's someone up here that I wanted to read for. Taylor Ann, I'm thinking about a job in the healthcare field, more behind the scenes type. And I'd love to know what the cards say about it. Okay, Taylor. Yeah, Six of Wands. Okay. To me, Six of Wands is what I call a success card. This is often like if you're asking a yes/no kind of question, this is often a yes card. The Six of Wands, there's many layers to every tarot card, and so sometimes it's tricky for me to know which layer to tap into. This is a field that for you have the potential to be successful in. It's almost like this is a job that will, in some ways, get you the approval of others. But I think ultimately the message of the card is about seeing yourself as successful and starting to think of yourself as being a capable, successful person. that's something that you'll be able to perhaps accomplish more easily if you pursue this job. And I don't know if this is a job that you need to train for, or if you're already trained and this is just a matter of applying. I feel like there's a process of training involved for you. And it's through that process. It's funny, I'm going to kind of tell you the same thing that I told Jennifer when she asked about reading tarot. I feel like it's through that process of learning a new skill, doing this different job, that you're going to learn things. You're going to learn things about yourself, and you're going to develop a healthier relationship with yourself, particularly where self-esteem is concerned. So if you're used to thinking of yourself as being a failure, or if you're used to kind of getting down on yourself, you're going to be changing that pattern, and it's going to be easier for you to really celebrate your achievements and your accomplishments, and starting to recognize your own strengths and skills. Okay. All right, so Fred, you say you're in your last semester of nursing school and you just feel stagnant. Can you pull a card for me? Okay, Fred. Ace of Wands. All right. Okay, Ace of Wands. I'm getting the sense that you are a very creative person. You're someone who probably gets a lot of creative ideas. You have this streak within you where you want to, I don't know if it's like you really want to write, or if you want to paint, or you want to act, but there's like this creative spirit within you that really wants to be let loose. And you maybe don't feel like you can do that in this nursing program. And that's not to say that nursing isn't what you should do, but what you should be doing is nurturing your creative spirit. Whether nurturing your creative spirit means just, picking up a hobby and doing this in your free time, or doing this on more of a career basis, I'm not sure. That's something that you're going to have to figure out over the next few years, probably. But the advice of this card is to pay attention to what your creative yearnings are. Like if you've been having lots of ideas for a particular project, or if there's a particular skill that you want to learn, or a particular class that you want to take, or just some direction that you feel kind of pulled in. This card is really encouraging you to pay attention to that and to not be afraid to pursue that, and just take a baby step. That's what I love about the Ace of Wands, is the aces are about taking baby steps. They're not about making huge, grand decisions or changes. They're about taking one small step in the direction that you feel pulled. So I feel like the reason you feel stagnant, Fred, is that there's some creative longing in you that longs to be expressed. And if you just stuff it down and think, oh no, I'm just going to focus on nursing, just focus on this for now, that part of you sort of starts to wither and die, and that causes that feeling of stagnancy. So yeah, that's the advice I have for you. All right. All right, so Alicia Brink would like a general message. All right. And I just realized right now that I'd planned on taking everyone through like a guided meditation and grounding before I did the readings, and I just totally forgot. So maybe we'll do that towards the end. Okay, so Alicia, a general message. Four of Cups. All right. So the message of the Four of Cups is that you are, I'll say a couple different things. This may or may not resonate. So you may find yourself feeling limited right now and stagnant, kind of like the last guy I read for, Fred. So you may be feeling kind of stuck and stagnant. And I think so many of us feel stuck and stagnant right now, especially if we're like literally stuck at home for, weeks, in some cases, months on end. And my attention is so drawn to the fish. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a fish in a fishbowl right on the top shelf. And it's that feeling of just like being in a fishbowl, of being kind of limited and stuck in this limiting small space. So that may apply to you in a literal sense, but I feel like it also applies to you emotionally. It's almost like there's feelings and emotions for you, Alicia, that want to flow through you, and they're kind of stagnant and stuck. And you can start to get unstuck by letting those feelings flow. So paying attention to feelings when they come up, and instead of stuffing them, letting them express themselves. One practice I like to do is I like to kind of dialogue with my emotions and my feelings, especially emotions and feelings that are uncomfortable. And even if you feel kind of numb or low energy, that's a feeling, and you can tap into it and you can dialogue with it and treat it like it's an entity in its own right, and ask, what do I need to know? What do I need to do? What message do you have for me? And sometimes that helps you just kind of move that feeling through, and it helps you get unblocked. It feels like it's almost like your question, like, is this all there is? It's like you're looking for that spark, something else to kind of inspire you. And the first step is starting to release some of your emotions. So good luck with that, Alicia. All right. Okay, Kim Kutschler. First time here, any message for me? Okay, Kim, let me shuffle my cards. All right, Kim. Queen of Wands. All right. Oh, I love the Queen of Wands. She's so dynamic, and she is what I think of as like, not so much a career woman, but she is like such an eccentric character that she could never work for another person. She could never be stuck in like a normal job or a normal life. And I'm not saying that this is necessarily you, Kim, but this is who has come through to give you a message. And the message of the Queen of Wands is, don't be afraid to really get in touch with your own inner Queen of Wands. So it's that part of you that is quite eccentric, the part of you that is creative, the part of you that doesn't want to be limited or tied down or overcommitted, the part of you that wants to be expressive and dynamic and creative and crazy and wild. She's encouraging you to find creative solutions for any problems that you might be having. So instead of going the same route that you always do, doing the same things that you always do, she's encouraging you to think outside the box. And I don't know how, I'm trying to think of how you can do that. She's encouraging you to look at an issue from a different perspective. And take a different approach that you're not used to doing, an approach that may feel not dangerous, but uncomfortable and a little bit exciting. And she really wants you to be more independent and to be less afraid of expressing your creative side. All right, so I hope that made sense. All right, so lots of comments here. Okay, I'm just going to take a moment to just kind of read through some of these. Okay, I want to do a reading here for okay, Abe Castro. My question may seem a bit unorthodox, but I'm in a gay relationship with someone. We've been together for 6 years now and have gone through many extreme rough patches, but we've conquered them all. We decided 2 years ago to open our relationship, and so far it's been steady, but I want to know if this will continue going smoothly or will it be detrimental? Okay, that's a good question. I don't think I've ever had that specific question before, so let's shuffle the cards. See what wisdom the tarot has for you. All right. Okay, Five of Pentacles. So Five of Pentacles can come up when, and especially because you're asking about a relationship. So in the context of a relationship, the Five of Pentacles can represent someone feeling like they're on the outside, like someone feeling like an outsider. It's that feeling you get when you find out that all your friends are having a party and you weren't invited, and you're like out for a walk one night, you walk by your friend's house and everyone's in there like having a big party and you're like, oh, I didn't get invited. It's kind of that feeling, being an outsider, or being, in high school and not being, part of the cool crowd. It's that feeling. So this is more of a warning. This is like saying, this is something to look out for and be aware of when you've opened your relationship up. So you're going to be, well, you've opened it up 2 years ago. And just be aware, you want to always be, because your relationship is open, you're going to have to work extra hard, I think, at creating that feeling of intimacy and safety between the two of you. And it can be easy, if you or him meet someone else that they have a lot of chemistry with and a lot of spark and maybe have a lot of feelings for, it can be really easy for the other person to feel like they're an outsider in that relationship and that they're being shut out. So that's just something to, I think, be aware of. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else I'm getting from this card. I feel like it would be helpful for you to have, almost like if you know someone who has done this before, who has a lot of experience, and that may even just mean like reading a book on this topic, but something that will act as like a way shower or like a guiding light for you. And I say that because there's an adult woman and there's a child, and the adult woman in this card is holding up a lantern, and that's kind of showing the way. So it's almost like there is kind of a need for some sort of guidance in order for you to like navigate this path smoothly going into the future. So I hope that makes sense, Abe. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to read for Sophie Roberts. Sophie, I know you're on my Facebook and you're excited for this, so I want to give you a reading. All right, so you said, I'd love a card. I have a lot of projects, commitments, and things I want to do. My question is, how can I best prioritize my activities? All right, good question. Ace of Swords. I love it. All right. So the best way you can prioritize is you need to almost have a like a brutal mind here where you cut away all the unnecessary crap that's going to suck your attention. So I don't know if you saw that Marie Kondo series on Netflix where she goes into people's homes and she makes people throw away a bunch of stuff. And she has this kind of like almost like psychopathic kind of brutal mentality where it's like, nope, if you don't like it, get rid of it. If you haven't worn it, get rid of it. Like you kind of have to be ruthless. And you're going to have to be like that. If you have a whole bunch of projects and things that you want to accomplish, you're going to have to be ruthless with your time. And you're going to have to really be aware of what kinds of things suck your time and waste your time. So for example, for me, email, Facebook, just the internet in general is a big time waster. So if I start my day by going in and checking my email or going onto Facebook, I know it's going to eat up probably an hour of my time. So if there's something that I'm really want to accomplish that day, like say I want to make a video or I want to write a blog post, I will make that a priority first thing when I sit down, and I'll spend, an hour or 2 hours or whatever I need to get that done. Then I'll go into my email, so that if something happens in my email or online that just hijacks my attention, well, at least I've achieved the one thing that I wanted to achieve that day. So you're going to have to be ruthless. Identify the things that suck your time, but also identify the things that suck your energy, because you're going to need to be really, really intentional with how you spend your energy. If you've got multiple things that you want to achieve and want to devote your time to, you're going to have to pay attention to the things that may drain your energy without you even realizing it. So you want to be really cognizant or intentional around the kinds of media that you consume, the kinds of entertainment that you consume, even the kind of exercise and foods that you have. You want those things to nourish you and feed your soul rather than take energy. All right, so thanks for your question, Sophie. I hope that made sense. All right, Music 1AC. Oh, you always come to my live events. Thank you. And Sophie, you do too, actually. I think I've seen you in a lot of my live things. All right, so Music 1AC. Would love a general reading, but you don't have a question. Okay. Two of Wands. All right. Okay, so I love the Two of Wands because this card is all about pausing to contemplate. It's about just taking a step back and assessing where you're at, assessing how far you've come, your experiences of the past, and deciding where you're going to put your energy next. So this is a nice one. And it kind of sounds like, because you didn't have a question, you couldn't come up with a question. I think that this shows that you're in the right time in your life where there's maybe nothing pressing going on that you need answers to. So this is the time to pause, to assess everything and figure out, what's important to me? What do I want my next step to be? Where do I want to put my energy next? What I love about this card is this guy is, ooh, my microphone's really hot for some reason. Weird. This guy is holding the earth in his hands. And it's this idea of like the world is your oyster. Things are closer than you think. I'm trying to think of another way of thinking that, but it's encouraging you to expand your horizons and expand what you think is possible. So when you're doing this process of reevaluating everything, deciding where to direct your energy, think globally, not just locally. I mean, think locally too, but think locally and globally. And, really expand your mind as to what is possible. Yeah, okay. Thank you for letting me do that reading for you. And I'm going to read for Nathan Ricks. What do my spirit guides need me to know about my current job? Is it time to move on? Okay. All right, Nathan. Six of Wands again. Okay. So this is, I think, one of the first cards we got. All right, so what do your spirit guides want you to know about your current job? So the first thing that came into my head when I looked at this card is there's a difference between other people approving of you and saying, good job, and you approving of yourself and thinking that you're doing a good job. And I don't know what it is you do or how other people perceive you in your career, but it's almost like you want, I mean, you're not finding it satisfying anymore. It's like, even if you were to be super successful in your career right now, even if you were to get promoted, that may not be enough for you, because it's almost like even if you achieve the greatest levels of success in the work that you're in now, that's still not going to bring you a sense of satisfaction. It's like you need to find that sense of satisfaction, maybe even outside of your job. So it feels like, here's the advice I'm going to give you based on this card. If you focus on thinking of yourself as really successful and capable, like go back over the years and think about all the things that you've achieved, all the things you've learned, all the ways that you've grown, the challenges that you've gone through, the ones you've overcome, and start to really kind of pat yourself on the back and start seeing yourself as successful. Pay attention to your skills and the things that you're really good at, your unique capabilities. And the more you do that, it lifts your self-esteem. And when your self-esteem is lifted, your horizons expand. And it's kind of like what I was saying with the last card. Was that the Two of Wands I was talking about last? And I was talking about, thinking outside the box and expanding, thinking bigger than, expanding your idea of what you think is possible. And the better you feel about yourself and the more capable you feel and the more that you can recognize your own skills and strengths, the more your mind is going to expand. And so you may be in this place right now where you're like, I don't really want to be in this job. I want to do something else, but what? I don't know. But when you do the inner work, you'll start to get ideas for other areas where you could focus on. So that's my that's my answer. So I hope that made sense, Nathan. All right. Oh yeah, Zelda. I'm using the Everyday Witch Tarot. I should probably say that intermittently because I know lots of people will probably be joining in partway through. Okay. All right, so Heart of Adele. You said, I've lived through severe trauma with a narcissist. I'm 18, chronic maladaptive daydreamer and escapist. I'm afraid I will never live independently. Who am I destined to become in terms of career? All right, so I'm going to shuffle my cards. And I'll just say right off the bat, this idea that you have a destiny, I feel like we make our own destiny, and that's just my belief. But there's also this idea that there's other idea that I kind of subscribe to as well, which contradicts that. That I think at a soul level, before we come into human bodies, we have an intention. We have intentions of things that we want to do in this lifetime. And I don't think that necessarily includes having a specific career. I don't think it's that specific. I think our intentions are more general, and there's many ways that we can live out that intention. Yeah, that's just my belief on destiny. So let's see what card comes up for you. All right, Heart of Adele, you got the Empress. This is a beautiful card. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about the Empress, and then I'll see if I can apply it specifically to you. So the Empress is one of my favorite cards in the tarot. She is such a goddess, and she is all about creativity. She's about relaxation and nurturing. So whenever this card comes up for someone, I know that the advice is about nurturing yourself, particularly your creative spirit. I think that in terms of career, I think you're definitely meant to do something creative. And the fact that you say that you call yourself a maladaptive daydreamer and an escapist, and you can daydream. Daydreamers, I know I can relate to this because I know daydreaming can seem like you're wasting time and it can be a means of escape. But many great authors and creative people are also daydreamers, and they use that ability to daydream as a way to dream up plots for novels. They do it as a way to create other worlds that they will either write about, or they'll paint, or they'll express in some other creative way. I feel like a creative career is something that is probably in the in the cards for you. But you need to be able to really nurture this side of you and be able to nurture yourself in that way. So one question to ask yourself is, how can you nurture your creativity, and how can you turn your daydreaming into something that is, I don't want to say productive, but how can you shift it from being just a time wasting way to escape as a way to express yourself and really nurture your creativity? Another thing I get with the Empress is she's all about relaxation and letting go a little bit. And I like to use the analogy of a gardener. So there's the kind of gardener who is uptight, who has like perfectly pruned hedges, and everything is really neat and uptight in their garden. There's no weeds. And then there's the kind of gardener who plants some things. They do their watering, they might do a little bit of pruning, but really they let things grow wild. And you want to be like that gardener, in that you want to be able to take those first steps towards the things that are important to you. But at some point, you need to let go. You don't want to micromanage every aspect of your life, even though you may want to have control over things. This is about getting started on your path, but then knowing when to step back and to let go and to kind of surrender to the process. And I don't know if any of this is resonating or making sense. I hope it is. But yeah, to just answer your question, who am I destined to become in terms of career? I think something creative for sure. I want to say a few other things, but creativity is just the one thing that is standing out in my mind really strongly. I think that you're definitely meant for some kind of creative career path. So hopefully that gives you the spark of inspiration that you're looking for. All right. Okay, Sandeep Rajan. Hi, I just started reading tarot last November, and I was wondering if you had any advice for me to connect better with my intuition and tarot in general. Yes. So I'm not sure, Sandeep, if you wanted me to pull a card or not. So I will pull you a card, but I'll also answer this question because I think a lot of people who are watching this may also wonder how they can better connect with their intuition and tarot in general. All right, so I'm going to start with the card, and Eight of Pentacles. All right, so Eight of Pentacles is what I call a card of hard work. It's about putting in the time and being consistent. And I think that if you want to get good at tarot, or if you just want to, connect with your intuition, making a regular practice of it is what is going to help you get there. So just saying, oh, I want to connect with my intuition, and then doing a couple of exercises and then forgetting about it for a year and then doing it again, that you're not really going to progress that way. But if you make a regular habit of connecting with your intuition, so what I've just started doing lately is my intention was to do this every day, but it's been more like every other day. So once I finish doing my yoga practice, I like to sit and just kind of meditate on my breathing for like 5, sometimes 10 minutes, and just to kind of connect with that inner part of myself, kind of my energy, my soul, and making that just kind of a regular thing. And so that it feels natural for me to just kind of connect with that part of myself. The more often you do this, the more normal it feels. Because I think for most of us, we haven't been raised to connect with our intuition or our psychic centers on a regular basis. And really it's a mundane process, just like brushing your teeth, getting up in the morning, eating, it's exercising, grocery shopping, things like that. It's just one of those things. If you work it into your day like any other thing, it becomes something that feels normal and it feels natural. And also, don't expect, and this is another thing I'm getting from this card, is don't expect miraculous results right away. So when you first start working with your intuition, when you first start studying the tarot, if you have expectations that you're going to learn the tarot quickly, or if you have expectations that you're going to be able to connect with your intuition deeply on the first or second try, you're going to be disappointed. It's going to dissuade you from continuing. So don't have high expectations to begin with. It's kind of like meditation, where you can meditate for years and just have ho-hum experiences, and then all of a sudden you have this like really amazing experience. But if you go in thinking you're going to have the amazing experience right away, you're going to be disappointed. So that's my advice for you. Fany, you asked, when will the COVID-19 virus go away and things be absolutely normal? I don't know. I have no idea, and I don't know what the tarot would say. I don't know if things will go. I just have a hard time thinking things are going to go back to being exactly how they were before, and I have no idea when it will go away. I'm going to draw a card though. I'm going to ask the tarot, what do we all need to know? Or what advice does the tarot have for all of us regarding this world situation? Let's see what card comes up. Oh, interesting. 5 of Pentacles again. Okay. Huh. So one thing I always ask myself when I first turn over a tarot card is, what is my attention first drawn to on the card? Because there's so much going on, right? There's so many different symbols and aspects of this picture that I could be focusing in on. But what I first notice is the way these two characters are trudging through the snow. They're kind of leaning forward into the wind. They're trying to find their path because they're holding up this lantern. There's no path. There sort of is a little bit of a path that's kind of being covered by snow. And it's like they're trying to find their way. And I feel like we're all sort of trying to find our way. We're walking into the wind. We're trying to figure things out. We're trying to navigate this the best way that we know how. The second thing that I notice about this card is that in the background, there's this big house that is glowing from within. But the two figures don't seem to be noticing the house. It's like they're just walking right by. It's like they're lost in the snow, and the one thing that could save them, they're not paying attention to. They're not noticing. So I feel like the solution that we're looking for is sort of under our noses, but we haven't found it yet. And yeah, I don't know any other way of saying that like what it is that we're looking for, I think, is perhaps obvious, but not to us yet. And I don't think that was necessarily helpful, but I don't think it was unhelpful either. So I feel like we're still kind of stuck in the woods. We're still trying to figure things out. And I think it might be a little while till we have satisfactory answers. All right. Okay. Oops. All right. So Mayo girl says, hi, I burned out in my job over 2 years ago. I've made some progress, but I've had some setbacks. Feeling very stuck for months. Example, spending a lot of time in bed, struggling with basic self-care. Any advice? Okay, so Mayo girl, you burned out in your job over 2 years ago. You've made some progress, but you're still struggling and you feel pretty stuck. Okay. Any advice? Let's see what card comes up for you. Ooh, I love it. 3 of Cups. Okay. So the advice of the 3 of Cups, the 3 of Cups is about moving that stuck, stagnant energy through cultivating a celebratory energy. So this card is about having fun. It's about connecting with others. It's about laughter. It's about celebration. And I know sometimes that's the last thing you feel like doing when you're burnt out, or if you're struggling with depression, if you're struggling with basic self-care, the last thing you feel like doing is going out and partying. And it's not saying to go out and party, but it's saying, you know, you want to start to cultivate or focus on the lighter side of life and taking things less seriously, and really finding the funny side of life and laughing more. So if you know what kinds of things make you laugh, you know, maybe it's funny movies or something like that, you know, make an effort to do things that are going to allow you to laugh and to kind of let go. That's one way that we move stagnant energy, because it feels like from your description that you're feeling stuck, you're low energy, you're struggling, and it's almost like in a lot of ways your energy is stagnant, it's stuck. And one way to get things moving again is through laughing and celebrating. So is there anything that you want to celebrate in your life? You know, look for, and it doesn't have to be like a birthday or an achievement or anything like that. You know, you can just celebrate any day. You know, you can just celebrate life any day. But I feel like, and this is a funny thing to say at this time, but I feel like getting out there and socializing and connecting with others. And I know we can't really do that right now, but doing it, you know, even online or on the phone. I think connecting with old friends, laughing about stuff, these are things that are going to help you right now. And I think finding your tribe, you know, finding a group of people who have a similar outlook on life, who maybe are even struggling with some similar stuff, is also going to help you have the energy for self-care and things like that. Okay, I hope that resonated. Okay. I just have to catch my breath. Sorry. If anyone has any like tarot reading questions, like questions about learning tarot that you want to ask me, feel free to ask me here. I'm actually going to do another YouTube live next week, or maybe even the week after, which is going to be just a tarot Q&A where you can ask me all kinds of questions about tarot, and we can just chat about tarot. But if you have any questions about learning tarot, I'm open to it right now. It's always nice to have a little mini break from doing readings. All right, so I'm just gonna shuffle my deck. So while I'm catching my breath and shuffling my deck, I'm going to give a little bit of a plug to my upcoming tarot course for those of you who are joining a little bit later. So I'm going to be teaching a 4-week tarot course. It's starting on the 6th of May, and it's called The Daily Tarot Girl's Guide to Reading Tarot for Others. And it's a really fun class. This will be my 3rd time teaching it. And basically it teaches you everything you need to know about giving another person a reading. And I've actually had a lot of students in that took that course last year and then the first year that I offered it, who went on to do professional readings and who have actually been quite successful at it. So that's that was nice for me to hear that. So anyways, if you're interested in learning more about this class, I'm going to put the link in the chat room. And yeah, feel free to check it out. If you have any questions about it, feel free to ask me. All right. Okay, so next reading. Lots of career questions. All right, so Nicole, you say Nicole Mazatza. I think I'm saying that wrong, but okay. My at-home business is coming to an end, sadly. I'm sorry to hear that, Nicole. May I have a card, please, on my career path for moving forward? Okay. All right, so you've got 2 of Wands. I love this card. So the advice of the 2 of Wands is, and I already pulled this for someone, so I'm going to kind of repeat myself a little bit here, but the advice of the 2 of Wands is to really take your time here. Take your time contemplating how you would like to move forward. So whenever a job or business comes to an end, it's always an opportunity. I mean, it always sucks, but it's always an opportunity to pause and go inward and figure out what is really important to you. What changes do you want to make? Moving forward, how are you going to do things differently? So there's always an opportunity there. So you really want to take your time. You may feel like you want to quickly figure out what you're going to do next, but the 2 of Wands is saying, take your time, contemplate this, and really go within. And again, I'm going to say expand your horizons beyond what you think is possible. Don't think small, think big. And I feel like this is an opportunity for you to expand your reach. I don't know what your at-home business was, but it feels like wherever you go next, you're going to have more of an opportunity to have a bigger impact in some way. And you may not figure out what you're going to do right away. It may take you a bit of time. It might be a little bit of a journey. But this is the most important part of the journey, where you go within and don't rush yourself on this step. Go within, you want to pause, and you want to get clarity about, where you want to put your energy next, what feels important to you. And just off the top of my head, I see you working with other people, primarily women. And it feels like it's something somewhat spiritual. Yeah, that's all I'll say. So I hope that resonates. Okay, thanks, Nicole. Oh, my foster kitty's getting restless. She's moving around the room. All right. Oh. Okay, James. Oops, James Gavin. I'm thinking about doing tarot reading professionally. I have been reading for about 15 years, but not so much for other people. Oh, okay, that's not really a question. I was reading it like it was going to be a question. That's cool that you've been reading so long, but you're only just starting. Oh no, you said you've been reading. Okay, you've been reading non-professionally for 15 years, but not a lot for other people. Yeah, that's cool, James. You should sign up for my course. All right. Oh, okay. All right. Do you use essential oils or incense? Yes. I love essential oils and incense. So, incense wise, I have this Nag Champa incense that I love, and I quite often burn it. And essential oils, I have a few like spray bottles of essential oils that I spritz around my home. I used to have a diffuser, but then I found out that essential oils are actually toxic. Most essential oils are toxic to cats because what happens is the diffusers, put out little globules of the oil in the air, and then those globules land on the cat's fur, and then the cat licks themselves, and their livers cannot break down the compounds in certain oils. They can't process them. And so what happens is over time, like it takes a while, I think it takes years, over time, these oils, these compounds will build up in their liver and cause all kinds of organ problems. And they can actually die and get really sick. So if you have cats, do your research on this. So I got rid of my oil diffuser. I have the spray things, and I'll spray them, on myself or in my reading area when my cats aren't around. And I love using essential oils, like just in the bath. I mix them with Epsom salts, and I like to soak in a bath. So I use it for that. Yeah. All right. Okay, Izzy, you said general question about the course. Which tarot deck will you be using? Oh, okay. So I can't remember what deck I use in the videos. I think I'm using, in the videos for my course, I think I'm using the Hesychos Tarot and maybe the Heart and Hands Tarot as well as demo decks. I think those are the two that I use. But it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't really matter what deck I use. You can use whatever deck you like, whatever deck you're comfortable with. All right. So Kelly, you said, what should I do about a friendship that recently ended on bad terms? Is it worth it to try and repair the friendship, or should I just move on? All right. Good question. Oh, wow. 2 of Cups. Okay. Huh. I feel like you should make the effort to get some closure on this relationship. So the 2 of Cups is, I feel like the advice of the 2 of Cups is saying either make the effort to repair this friendship, or if you don't want to repair the friendship, like if you don't want to continue being friends with this person, at the very least, make the effort to end things on a positive note so that you can truly move on. Because it's going to be hard to move on if you left things kind of unraveling, or if you left things on bad terms. Hey, girl. Hey. Do you hear my foster kitty? She's whining. What? She's never vocal. Hey. Come here. Aw. Sorry, Kelly. She's totally hijacking your reading here. All right. So I feel like there is value in trying to see eye to eye with this person and to maybe make an effort to smooth things over and to really express what's in your heart, and to really listen to what this person has to say. And if that doesn't resonate, if you're like, oh, I don't think I really want to be friends with this person, it ended so badly, at least see what you can do to end things on a more positive note. Whatever that looks like for you. Because I feel like forgiving this person and releasing it at least is going to be helpful. But I think that there's potential for this friendship to continue and to perhaps even be stronger as a result. So that potential is there. All right. Okay, so Felipe asks, do you prefer larger spreads or smaller spreads? I've been experimenting with different sizes of spreads, but still didn't find my preferences. I prefer smaller spreads. I love doing 1-card readings. I like 3-card readings. I rarely do large spreads. I find like I get more out of the smaller spreads than the bigger spreads, but everyone's different, right? So you have to find a fit. One thing you can do is start with, like, I always start with 1 card. So I don't really use spreads that often when I'm reading for myself. If I have an issue that I want to read about, I start with 1 card. And if I don't get a satisfactory answer or piece of advice in that 1 card, then I may draw another card or another card, and I can kind of work outward from there. But I feel like less is more when it comes to readings. Oh, okay. Sorted Soul says, hello, Kate. I'd love a reading about projects or focus for spring. All right. So focus for spring. All right, 9 of Swords. The focus of spring is about... This cat is driving me crazy. What are you doing, Dahlia? All right, 9 of Swords is a card of anxiety. And so I feel like the message here is that the one focus for spring is about managing anxiety and learning tools and techniques to mitigate anxiety and to really squash it. What I love here is that through the window, there's a little bird perched on the windowsill, and it looks like the sun is coming up. And it actually reminds me of spring if you look, out of the window. And that's kind of what spring is like in a way. Like, every morning as the sun rises, there's this sort of feeling of, starting a new day, like a new opportunity. There's this certain fresh energy about it. And spring is like the seasonal representation of that kind of energy. So spring is a good time to kind of start things fresh and heal old habits. And so, and I feel that this card and this message applies to almost everyone who's watching this. So not just Sorted Soul. It applies to you, Sorted Soul, but also everyone else watching, including myself. So this is really about noticing what your patterns are around anxiety. So noticing, I'm just going to let my foster kitty out of the foster room. Give me 1 sec. There you go, girl. There you go. So I feel like this is about recognizing your patterns as it applies to anxiety, noticing what kinds of things make you anxious, noticing the kinds of activities and behaviors that add to your anxiety, and looking for ways to change those behaviors, looking at the things that make you feel less anxious, what brings your anxiety down, and starting to basically recognize, like, I think of anxiety as almost being like a spiral. If you catch it at the top, or if you catch it at the beginning, you're not going to spiral down into the depths of anxiety and despair. And so really this is about, in some ways, kind of being able to look at your anxious thoughts and almost having a sense of humor about them, being able to not take them so seriously. But I've been I've been really good. I'm going to pat myself on the back here. I've been really good at managing my anxiety over the last month or so. And what I did is I identified the things that add to it. So watching the news adds to my anxiety. Um, Sometimes reading the news does. Spending time online late at night adds to it. And the things that bring my anxiety down are doing a daily yoga practice, like daily meditation, breathing, um, writing, doing something creative. So I've made a conscious effort to do more of those things and to do less of the things that make me anxious. So I think that we all have this kind of opportunity as we move into spring to really put anxiety to rest. Oh, okay. Christopher Hawkins asks, what would you say is the difference between the 9s and 10s of each suit? That's an interesting question. The 10s are like the final card. So I feel like with 10s, there's this wrapping up of energy. Like that energy of the suit has come to a culmination. Whereas the 9, it hasn't yet. It's right before. I'm just trying to think of the difference between, I guess I'd have to have my 9s and 10s laid out in front of me to really tell the difference. But the main difference is that the 10 is the last. It's the culmination of that energy. It's things kind of wrapping up. All right. Amit Jane says, I'm a 40-year-old but not stable career-wise. I would like to know what is causing this massive blockage that I've had for many years, and which career can give me financial security and happiness. All right. The funny thing is, sometimes the career that gives you the most financial security isn't necessarily going to be the career that gives you the most happiness. So I guess you want to find a balance, right, between something that you can support yourself with, but also something that you enjoy. Okay, Amit. You got Ace of Wands. All right, so this is the second time this card has come up. And you mentioned that you feel blocked. And you want to know what's causing this massive blockage that you've had for many years. All right, so when you say blockage, it makes me think of energy and how energy wants to move through us. And that we always have opportunities every single day to let that energy move through us. We get creative ideas, emotions come up. These are all opportunities to let that energy flow. And most of the time, I think that we squash these opportunities. And I do this all the time. So I get really good ideas for things. And I'm like, oh, I should write this down. And then something else happens. I get distracted. I forget to write it down. And this happens all the time. Or, a negative feeling comes up. And I think, ooh, I don't like this feeling. I'm going to go distract myself with something. But every now and then I'm really good. And I sit with that feeling. And I dialogue with it. And I let it move through me. And something magical happens when you let those feelings move. When you write down your ideas, when you allow yourself the luxury of moving towards the thing that is calling you. And I think that is the advice of this Ace of Wands, is that this is how you can start to get unblocked, is to pay attention to what you're drawn to. What ideas do you have? What longings do you have? Start writing it down. Start paying attention to this. Again, this is a card of inspiration. And it's hard, and it's almost like you're waiting for inspiration to happen to you. And it's almost like you're thinking it's going to be this epiphany, like it's going to be this sudden thing. But I find that inspiration isn't like that. It's like you get this little inkling, you get this little idea, and it's like a breadcrumb. And if you follow that breadcrumb, and it's almost like spirit is testing you, like, okay, I'll give you a breadcrumb and see what you do with it. And if you follow it, there's another breadcrumb and another, and it can lead to bigger and bigger breadcrumbs until you have this epiphany, you have this shift. And that's when we can make big changes, but we have to follow those tiny steps to get there. And I think sometimes we're waiting for this big epiphany. We're waiting for something miraculous. We're waiting for this huge opportunity to fall into our laps. And it rarely works out that way. So the Ace of Wands is saying, you know, take the first step. And the first step is listening to your ideas, listening to the things that inspire you. And yeah, I hope that makes sense. All right. Okay, so Malin asks, if you could choose between the Everyday Witch Tarot or the Dark Mansion Tarot, which one would you recommend to a beginner? Oh, they're both actually beginner-friendly decks. I think the Everyday Witch is probably a cheaper deck. I think it might be also more easy to get the Everyday Witch Tarot. I think you can just get it on Amazon. So depending on where you live, they're both lovely decks. I would say the Dark Mansion Tarot has much better quality card stock. It's more of a luxurious deck in that sense. The Everyday Witch, I don't know if the Everyday Witch Tarot, if there's a new edition available, but this one has pretty thin, kind of crappy card stock, which in some ways I kind of like because it's easy to shuffle. For a beginner, I feel like both are beginner friendly. I think it just depends which art style you resonate with most. I would say I have an easier time reading the Everyday Witch Tarot than the Dark Mansion, although the Dark Mansion is very easy to read as well. So I think it just comes down to how much money you have to spend and what art style you resonate with the most. But both are pretty beginner friendly. Okay, Anne asks, I noticed that many tarot card readers use tarot and oracle cards to do a reading. Do you recommend this? Do we touch on oracle cards in your course? Can you please do a general card reading for me? So there's like lots of questions there. So yeah, first, I used to use oracle cards at the end of a tarot reading. So I would do the tarot reading, and then at the end of it, I would gather those cards up and I would draw one oracle card as a way to kind of seal the reading. I find most oracle decks are very uplifting and positive, and so I found that this was a nice way to end the reading on a really positive note. I don't touch on oracle cards in my course, so that's not part of my course. So yeah, do I recommend doing it? Yeah, if you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to do it, don't. I don't really use oracle cards as much anymore, but I did for a very long time. All right, can I do a general reading for you? Yes. Okay, Anne. So I'm going to shuffle my cards. Okay, so Anne. Oh, and Anne, I love your profile picture. It's a little black cat. Okay, so you got the Queen of Swords, Anne. So the Queen of Swords is encouraging you to write. Write creatively, write down your ideas, write your to-do lists. There's so much power behind the pen for you this year. Also, the Queen of Swords says that your superpower right now is your ability to communicate clearly. And you can communicate through the written word, but you can also communicate through the spoken word. And it's like you have this enhanced gift right now to really make your words count and to speak in a really clear, concise way and to get your point across. And she's encouraging you to not be afraid to speak your truth. This is where the magic happens. When you let go of that fear and you can finally speak your truth, that's when things start to really change and shift. So yeah, that's the advice of the Queen of Swords. Okay, James, you said, do I get a card? Should I pursue reading tarot professionally? Let's see. Five of Wands. Interesting. Okay. Let's talk about the Five of Wands. The Five of Wands makes me think that maybe you feel conflicted about reading tarot professionally. And I think part of this could just be like you have certain self-doubts. It's like there's a part of you that really wants to read professionally. Like you see that as a challenge, you see that as something really fun. There's another part of you that's afraid, that has a sort of fear around reading professionally. There's another part of you that doesn't think you can do it. Like it's that critical voice. It's like, oh, you're not good enough to read professionally or whatever. And then it's like there's another part of you that really wants to help people with your readings. And so you've got all these different aspects of yourself, and they're all kind of squabbling for dominance. So I would say that before you read professionally, you want to get really clear on why you want to read professionally. And make a list of all the concerns and fears you have around reading professionally. So for me, I remember when I did this, it was like, you know, what if I do a reading that someone hates? You know, that was a big fear. Or, you know, what if I interpret a card incorrectly? Or what if I say something that, you know, is detrimental to the person I'm reading for? You know, all of these things were fears I had. So make a list of all your fears and really look at them. And that's how you start to kind of transmute them and move past them, is by getting them down on paper, knowing what they are. This card doesn't say whether you should or shouldn't be a professional tarot reader. It just says you have some work to do around that. And this is a process. You have some inner work to do before you're going to be ready, before you're going to be comfortable. Okay, so S. Davis says, I feel a pull to tarot all things spiritual, but I feel a hesitation because my in-laws say it leads me away from God. What's your opinion on balancing spirituality and religion? I like this question because I've heard this question asked from, like, similar questions asked from so many different people. And often it's people who are, you know, were maybe brought up with religion or are religious themselves, but they also feel this pull towards exploring their intuition and their psychic side and you know, learning tarot and all those other fun metaphysical things. What's my opinion on balancing spirituality and religion? I feel like I don't know how I can answer this because my own experience is kind of limited here. So I'm just going to be honest. I was not brought up with any kind of religion, which I'm grateful for, because I feel like in that sense I was sort of a blank slate, because I know a lot of people who were brought up with religion, and in a lot of ways it's been a block to them when it comes to exploring their own intuition, because I think that many religions teach us, and I think in some ways society in general kind of teaches us, that listening to our own intuition is dangerous, and that we should instead glom onto this higher outside authority for advice as to how to live our lives and to not go within. And it's almost as if going within and exploring your intuition or exploring things like tarot, it's like opening a can of worms. I don't think so. Here's my take on tarot. For me, studying tarot has been it really just a way to study myself. It's been a way to go inward and connect with myself and connect with my intuition and who I am, and learn more about myself. And I think that you can't, I think that if you believe in God, connecting more deeply with yourself only brings you closer to God, not away from God. However, I think that there's a way to study tarot that has the opposite effect, that brings you outside of yourself. So I think that if you're focusing on tarot as, you know, if you're just focused on memorizing the card meanings, and if you're just focused on using the tarot to, say, predict the future, things like that, I think that interacting with the tarot in that way isn't going to help you connect with yourself more. But if you study the tarot in a way, like if you look at each tarot card, each card basically depicts different aspects of yourself, different aspects of life experience and the different challenges and archetypes that are present in life. And by studying these cards, you really are, it's a doorway into the self, it's a doorway into the soul. And so I feel like you can't explore yourself and be further from God. I just don't think that's the case. So hopefully that made sense. Hopefully that answered your question. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 more readings and then I'm going to call it a day because I'm getting tired. I wish I could be one of those readers that just reads for hours on end, but I can't. Okay. Sorry, I'm just kind of scanning some of the comments here. Oh, okay, I like this one. Alex, aka Artsy Astronaut. I've been struggling with self-love recently, especially with this lockdown. What can I do to learn to love myself more? Okay. Knight of Cups. Okay, so what's really cool about this card is there's hearts everywhere. So you asked about self-love, and there's like hearts coming out of this cup like bubbles, which is really beautiful. All right. So what can you do to love yourself more? So the Knight of Cups is a romantic character, and he's also an adventurer, and he loves adventures of the romantic kind. At the same time, I think if you look at self-love as more of an adventure rather than something that you have to do, that can help you kind of shift your focus. And what does, I think, ask yourself, like, what does self-love mean to you? If you were someone who really had a healthy respect and love for yourself, what would be different for you in your life? How would you live your life differently? So how would you, how would your day-to-day life be different? What kinds of activities would you do? What kind of a job would you have? How would you feel? How would you feel right now if you were someone who really, truly loved themselves and felt connected with yourself? So just get clear on what self-love means for you. And what are some different ways that you could express that love? What are some different ways that you can nurture yourself or honor yourself over, the next few weeks? Yeah, your question was, what can I do to learn to love myself more? And I feel like there's 2 things I noticed about this card. So number 1, he's flying. He has perspective. He has kind of a bird's eye view. I think getting distance, getting perspective is something that might help you. And he has his cup raised. It's like he's celebrating. He has this carefree, laid back attitude. And I think you want to take almost a playful, adventurous approach to practicing self-love rather than thinking, oh, I should love myself more. Oh, I got to practice self-love. Like, to have kind of more of a playful kind of approach to it. I hope that gave you some ideas. All right. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna do a couple more. Okay. Apurva Shaduri. What does my spirit guide want me to know? Am I meant to learn tarot card? Am I meant to learn tarot card, and will I ever become a professional? I feel incomplete. I'm a spiritual person, but doesn't know which path to take to complete me. Okay. I think this is a common problem, actually, is that feeling of being incomplete and feeling like we're searching for that one thing that's going to make us feel complete. I think that's a common issue. It's definitely something I've experienced from time to time. All right, so Apurva, I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm going to draw a card for you. So your spirit guide wants you to know, Eight of Pentacles. Okay. So Eight of Pentacles, I think of like putting your nose to the grindstone here. So your question, what does my spirit guide want you to know? Your spirit guide wants you to know that this process, because you've asked a few questions, and the one question was, am I meant to learn tarot cards? Will I ever become a professional? And also this feeling of being kind of incomplete. And the Eight of Pentacles is about consistency. It's about working consistently towards something. So if you want to learn tarot, if you want to be a tarot professional, it's going to require you to study the tarot, not even necessarily study the tarot, but play with the tarot, get acquainted with the tarot on a really regular basis and be consistent with it. And this idea that you're incomplete, what I've noticed is that my feelings of being incomplete have diminished substantially when I am consistently connecting with my spiritual energy. So when I'm consistent with meditating, with doing my yoga or my exercise or whatever it is, when I'm consistent with connecting to that kind of energy, that feeling of incompleteness goes away. I think again, and this theme has come up in quite a few cards, is that sometimes we're waiting for this aha moment. We're waiting for this big spark, this fire, this huge shift, something really dramatic to happen. And that life is more mundane than that in many ways. It takes consistency and taking baby steps towards something to really make things happen. But the other thing I get with this card is there is this spirit of alchemy with this card, because if you look at the witch on the card, she's mixing up a potion and she's got all these open bottles and she's dumping bits of these bottles into this cauldron that she's stirring. And so there's this idea of combining all these different things. And I think one reason you feel incomplete is because there's a part of you that you haven't fully integrated and incorporated into your life yet. And sometimes we need to do shadow work. So those of you who are like, what is shadow work? Shadow work, so we all have a shadow or a dark side. And that's the part of us that we tend to want to hide from others. So, there's aspects of myself that I like to show to the world. So, being friendly, being happy, being creative, being fun. These are all things that, get me friends and get me approval. Being kind. These are all things that I have no problem showing others. But there's aspects to my personality that I try to keep hidden, because in my experience, when I've revealed those things, it doesn't exactly win me friends. So I like to be critical. I'm a very critical person. I like to gossip. I like to talk shit about people. This is my dark side, right? Maybe I won't tell you the other things, but we all have a dark side, and if we ignore it too much, we start to feel incomplete in some way, like something is missing. And the key is not to start engaging in those dark side behaviors, but the key is to look at that part of ourselves, not in a condemning way, but to be able to embrace those things and, I want to say, transmute them. But yeah, we want to find a way to accept ourselves and love ourselves completely. And I think that when you do that, you start to feel less incomplete. You no longer feel like there's part of you missing. Yeah, so I hope that made sense. I'm going to do one more reading. I'm just going to shuffle my deck one last time. Okay, Meowalina. I recognize you from my YouTube channel. You always comment on my videos, so thank you. All right. So Meowalina, you say, "Hi Kate, I'm having issues in my long-term relationship and would like some guidance on what I should do to move the energy forward in the way that will best serve me and the relationship." Okay. Two of Pentacles. All right. So, sorry, my brain is tired, so I'm just like kind of staring at this card. All right, so let me talk a little bit about the Two of Pentacles, and then I'm going to apply it to you. So the Two of Pentacles is all about balance, and it's about making things run smoothly. It's about being busy, but finding a way to almost juggle things and make everything flow smoothly. The woman is standing on a teeter-totter. I feel like for you, there's a couple of things here. For you, I think what's important is to get grounded. You need to have both of your feet firmly planted on the ground, just for yourself, but also in your relationship. So you want to be grounded and solid in who you are and what you're needing from this relationship. So the thing that drew my attention was the fact that this woman is standing on this teeter-totter, and there's a cat that's going to jump on the teeter-totter. And even though she has both feet firmly on that teeter-totter, that cat jumping is probably going to throw her off balance. So it's not going to take that much to throw her kind of off balance. I feel like this may be a metaphor either for how you're feeling or for your relationship, is that maybe you're doing more work to keep everything flowing, and maybe you're juggling lots of different things and putting a lot of work into keeping that relationship above water. And it may feel like just one little thing is going to throw it off balance. So I feel like for you, you shouldn't be doing all the work in your relationship. And sometimes in relationships, if one person is doing all the work, the other person, it's like they sense that and they're like, oh, well, this person's putting in all the energy. I'm going to kind of just pull back a little bit. And I've noticed this too. If I'm the one in my relationship doing all the emotional expressing and being really emotional, then my partner is less emotional. And if I'm the one who's emotionally shut down, suddenly he becomes the more kind of hysterical, emotional one. And so relationships are interesting like that in how they are. They're like this energy unit. And so what you can do is you can hold up your half of that. If you think of a relationship as being this one unit of energy, you're responsible for half of that. So you're only responsible for doing 50% of the relationship upkeep work. And what happens when you do that is if you step back a little bit and start doing less in the relationship, what will happen is either the relationship disintegrates and ends, or the relationship, your partner is going to step up to the plate and do his fair share of the relationship stuff, and that relationship is going to move forward. So my advice to you, Meowalina, is to maybe step back a little bit from this relationship, focus on yourself a little bit more than you're focusing on the relationship, and bring 50% of the energy to the relationship. And that is really a way to honor your partner and to say, hey, I know that you're capable of bringing that other 50%. And then, see what happens. Okay, good luck. All right. Okay, so that is it for readings. I'm just going to scroll and see if there's any non-reading questions, like just general tarot questions. Okay. And yes, I used to belly dance. Pan has just mentioned that. Yeah, I used to be a belly dancer. Haven't done it for a while. Oh, thanks, you guys. Okay, so I got a few more live events planned, so I'll just let you know in case you're interested. So next week I'm going to be doing another YouTube live, and I'm going to teach a little tarot lesson, and it's going to focus on reading tarot for yourself. So I have some little tips and exercises that we can do on how to give ourselves a really awesome tarot reading. So that's going to be next week. I think I'm going to do that on either Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember which day. I haven't scheduled it yet. If you're on my mailing list, I always send out an email a couple of days before an event. So actually, I'm going to put the link. I'll put the link to my mailing list in case anyone wants to sign up. All right, so I just posted the link to my mailing list. So if you get on that list, I always send out a little email a couple of days before a live event. So I'll be doing that YouTube live. I'm going to be doing a tarot Q&A in the next little while as well. Yeah, and let me know what you'd like to see from me. I know I did a couple of kind of craftsy live streams. So I did one where I did coloring and drawing, which was really fun. So if anyone is interested in me doing another one of those, I'd love to do that. So let me know. I was going to do a video where I share all my tarot decks and talk about them, do like a live cast. So if that sounds fun for you, let me know. Yeah. And I just want to say, whoops, where'd my mouse go? I just want to say thank you so much, everyone, for being here live with me. It's been really fun to spend the afternoon with you, and I hope you had fun. And I apologize that I couldn't read for every single person, but hopefully just listening to other people's readings, you got, something out of it and found it entertaining at the very least. All right, so Maura asks, if we can't make it for your upcoming class on reading tarot for others, when will you offer this class next? So I offer this class once a year, so I'll be offering it again next spring, so April, May. So yeah, if you can't do it this year, you can do it next year. One big perk, though, about signing up for my classes is that if you sign up for my Reading Tarot for Others class this year, when I run it next year, you get to join in again for free for the next round of classes. So I think that's kind of a fun perk, because a lot of people, you sign up for a course and then life kind of gets in the way, something happens, you don't finish the course. I do that all the time with online courses. So with me, I always offer my former students the opportunity to go through the class again for free. What would you recommend as a daily morning spread? A one-card reading. I love doing one-card readings. Okay, so Diana, you want me to do a video with all my decks? Okay. Do I have any particular spreads that I like to use most often? I really don't. I'm not super into spreads. I mean, I've made a lot of spreads. I have read with spreads, but I tend to just I love the 1 card, 2 card, 3 card readings. And I like to create spreads like right before I do a reading. So just like a custom spread for whatever it is I'm reading about. So I don't have like a go-to spread. Oh, good question. Is my upcoming course for beginners? And I think you're asking about the tarot for others. The free class that I'm going to teach next week on the YouTube Live is for beginners. The reading tarot for others, it's open level. So any level would be okay in it. I didn't design the course for beginners in the sense that it's not like a tarot 101 course. Like I'm not going to walk you through the tarot card meanings or anything like that. I kind of created the course with a particular person in mind. So I created the course for someone who is somewhat familiar with tarot already, has maybe done readings for themselves, and now they want to branch out and do readings for others. But I think that if you're a total beginner, as long as you have a good reference book or the internet where you can look up card meanings, you're going to be okay. Yeah, so hopefully that answers your question. Oh, let's do, I'm going to do one to finish this off, to close this event. Two more questions. Okay. Maura, is there a chance to exchange readings with others in the Reading for Others course? Yes, that's a big part of the course, as I get you doing readings for other people in the course if you choose to. All the exercises are optional, so you can do readings for people like friends, family, or whatever, but there's plenty of opportunities to read for other students in the class. And what I love about my courses is that there's a Facebook group for my course, and it's just for students of that course. And the Facebook group, the community is always so encouraging. Everyone is so positive and uplifting and supportive of one another and encouraging. I love it. It's fantastic. All right, so I'm going to draw one last card for everyone here to close the event. So what do we need to know or focus on right now today? Two of Pentacles. This is the last card I got. Okay, so focusing on creating balance, but also on getting grounded. And the more grounded you are, the more stable you are, the more connected to the earth you are, the more you can juggle, the more you can do. But I don't think the goal should be doing more or juggling a lot of different things. It should be more about balancing out different things. So I actually made this little thing for myself. It's almost like an advent calendar, but not really. It's like this, I got like 2 recipe cards and I stapled them together and I did like little slots in this thing. And then I cut out all these little cards, and each card represents a different thing that I want to do that day. So I have a card that says create, because I feel like I want to create something every day. I have another card that says learn, which is like I want to learn something new every day. Well, not necessarily like something new, but I want to do something kind of learning. I have another card that says spirit, because I want to, meditate or something. I have another card that says exercise, one that says clean, one that says work. And so I have all these little cards that represent different aspects of my day. And when I complete a task that is like a work task or a cleaning task, then I get that piece of paper and I stick it in the slot. And it's just really fun to do. But that's how I create balance in my own life. So I feel like the message of this card is focus on getting grounded today, focus on creating balance, and don't try to do it all. Don't try to be super busy today. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone, and have a wonderful rest of your day or evening, depending on where you are. And thanks again for joining me. And it won't be too long. I guess I'll see some of you again next week when I do my next live stream. So thank you so much and take care.